Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Bremer, and alongside me is a very excited, emotional, and patriotic Logan Camden. We just watched the best game of Olympic basketball that I have ever seen. Team USA comes down from 15 points in the fourth quarter to stay alive and advance to the gold medal game, beating Nikola Jokic and Team Serbia. Logan, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the first semifinal of the day, which was also a really good game. But your thoughts on Team USA advancing? Beautiful. When I was in Spain, I was on the metro and some guy, a Spanish guy, just came up to me and played that song. Fun fact, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, that was an emotional roller coaster, man. Wow. I was going to be in such a deep, dark depression if we didn't pull that out, man. I'm telling you, Carson, that filled me with a certain type of joy I haven't felt since I was a child. When KD hit that mid-range jumper on Petrosev to close it out, I jumped in the air and hit I pulled the string like on the lawnmower, man. Oh my gosh, what a basketball game. We're going to get into the negatives about how that was almost a absolute disaster class from the U.S. As they mentioned on the broadcast, we have not failed to notch the gold medal in basketball since the infamous 2004 run. We also have not lost a basketball game in the Olympics, period, since Tokyo against France, and that was in the group stage. I mean, this would have been a monumental letdown if we had lost this game.
And the talent on the 2004 team is not remotely comparable to the talent on this team. Like, who's the best American player not there? Jaylen Brown, probably, who is the 12th best American, maybe. You can argue he's a better player in a vacuum than a Drew Holiday or a Derek White, but it makes sense including those guys over him on this team. The 2004 team was like rookie Melo, rookie D Wade, rookie LeBron. The only all-stars from the previous season were Duncan and AI. This team, I don't know, 10 of these dudes must have been all-stars last year, and they're all obviously all-star level players. So, there's no comparison, right? This would have been unequivocally the biggest upset in Olympic basketball history. And by the way, I tweeted that with a quarter to go, and it didn't turn out that way, did it, Logan?
No, they cranked it up, man. They cranked it up in the fourth quarter. Monumental legacy Steph Curry game. That's the first guy that you just got to tip your cap to. I mean, we were waiting on the explosion. You mentioned it last episode, Carson. It felt like we were waiting for him to just pop for a big game, and we get it. He goes for damn near 40 in this one, carries us completely through the first half of this game. In the fourth quarter, steps up, hits some big shots. And thank you, Steve Kerr, for waking up and putting our best possible lineup out there. I was screaming for Kevin Durant to get some minutes. He hit some big shots. Embiid hit some huge shots. LeBron does his thing. Yeah, they just step up in the clutch moments, man. They go on a 7-0 run in the fourth quarter. They outscore Serbia 32-15 in the fourth. Like I said, we'll get into why this was such a nail-biter down and where U.S. really messed up, but they just pull away here. And unfortunately, Jokic just wasn't good enough in the second half to carry Serbia across. An amazing shooting performance from Serbia, dude. They were hitting everything. And the U.S. was hemorrhaging open three-point attempts. That is certainly on them. So many wide open three-pointers. But Serbia also just was not missing anything at a point. I don't know where they end up at a point in this game. They were 14 of 28 from behind the arc, shooting 50%.
Yeah. They cooled down. They end up 15 of 39, and that was a big factor down the stretch. But also, it was a lot of tough threes they were taking down the stretch. It was a lot of late shot clock, borderline heaves.
I mean, the U.S. also just started strangleholding on 100%.
Defense. 100%. That is the story of the home stretch of this game. That was the best defense that Team USA has played, could have played. That fourth quarter was suffocating. The ball pressure, like you just saw, the overwhelming athletic advantage that they have, because through the better part of three quarters of this game, really, especially in the first half, Serbia was able to comfortably get into their actions. They were able to comfortably get Jokic his post touches. Ball handlers were able to comfortably maneuver around screens. All of that stopped. It became exceedingly difficult for Serbia to get into any sort of actions. They weren't comfortable throwing even basic entry passes to Jokic. And Jokic saw doubles this entire game. There were a couple of really nice timely doubles from Team USA that forced turnovers or just deterred an entry pass. he also did a lot of picking them apart with his playmaking. Like, I do want to just give the utmost credit to Team Serbia. This is a country of 6 million people, a country that has 3 NBA players on its team, and one of them is Micic. You know, shout out to Guduric and Petrosev. Those guys have played a handful of NBA games in their careers, but to throw easily the best punch that Team USA has seen in 20 years. And I want to give the utmost respect to the 04 Argentinian team, because that's just an incredible run from Manu and Luis Scola. That's such a great team. But again, they were facing a completely inferior level of competition. When the U.S. has sent a legitimate full-strength team since 1992, when they allowed pros back in, like, this is the best that anybody has played them, and it's really not all that close. The 2008 gold medal game against Spain is one that a lot of people will point to, but like, Serbia was in position to finish this game, and they were leading for a vast majority of this game, and the U.S. had to reach their absolute peak level because Serbia was producing such good offense, because Nikola Jokic was demanding such overwhelming attention. The one thing, Logan, where you mentioned he's not good enough, he just has to find his outside shot. This was the theme of the postseason, particularly the Minnesota series, right? He was basically perfect offensively in every way in that series, except for knocking down his threes, especially in game 7 when he goes 2 for 10, I believe. This one he goes 0 for 6. Some of them are late shot clock bailout sort of attempts, but he also misses a couple of good ones. And that's important to him being the best offensive player ever at his peak, is that he can reliably knock down 36, 38% of his threes, and he's comfortable taking them. And this is now a semi-extended stretch where he hasn't been doing that, and that did matter down the stretch of this game.
It did matter, and that may have made the marginal difference. I also want to give praise to Serbia, too, for what we saw from them defensively throughout this game.
Yeah.
I thought the coverages in zone, just covering space. Like, Serbia did such a good job of cutting off driving angles, of rotating before the screens would come to make sure that they had a body. And it wasn't really like man up, and they can't match the U.S. athletically, but what they can do is be there in space. And they did a phenomenal job, especially with ball pressure too. Early in this game, I mean, again, we'll get into the negatives right here. The U.S. is just being careless with the basketball. I mean, elementary passes that are getting picked off by Serbia's defense, where it's like when a quarterback is giving you a tell with his eyes, like Serbia is just following it, and they're able to read the guy passing the ball. They get a couple easy turnovers. The U.S. was playing so much ISO ball, man.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, towards the end of the game, this is the United States, by far their biggest strength, their ability to turn defense when they're on that end
100%.
into easy transition opportunities. That is where the United States just has an advantage over everyone else in this field. It's not only the skill, the size, the athleticism, it's that ability. That is where the United States is at their best. And they weren't able to do that because Serbia, one, is stopping all of the U.S.'s runs with great three-point shooting, but they're also playing great defense. And so that was a huge component for the U.S. down the stretch, but everything clicks into gear. It was scary. I mean, they go up, 17 is their biggest lead in this game, man? And one of the also big concerning things is just the shot quality for the United States, in my opinion, early in this game. A lot of settling from behind the arc. And we see towards the end of this game, you just do have some tough shot making. Embiid hitting big threes, KD hitting big threes, Steph hitting big shots, but also LeBron getting downhill, getting to the rack. I was very satisfied that they went away from ISO ball. They went away from that. They got better shots as the game went along. And yeah, man, it was scary. This fourth quarter was the best basketball the U.S., in my opinion, has played all Olympics long. And
absolutely,
my God, did they need it?
Not even close, dude. And you hit on it. They reached their ceiling on both sides of the ball simultaneously because everything is interconnected, right? When you're getting stops, you're getting opportunities to attack non-set defenses in transition. And Team Serbia is very smart. They are very well coached. You highlighted when we were reacting to the quarterfinals that you thought they would implement that 2-3 zone, and they did a good bit, and it was effective, and it was a good coverage. And honestly, they were able to switch in the half court and hold up in some of those individual matchups better than I expected, because there was no question that they could hang offensively. The question was, how do they defend this overwhelmingly talented and more athletic team? and they were able to mostly hang in there. But where they just have no prayer, Logan, is when it is LeBron James with a 3-on-2 in transition, and the only man between him and the rim is Micic, right? Like he's just going to go through these guys, and that became so apparent that once you got those couple transition layups from LeBron, it was just like they've seized control. They're getting the exact sort of looks that they want. And you also got to give props to Embiid for that stretch in the fourth quarter where he starts really finding his jumper. I thought earlier in the game, there were some rough moments for him where he was taking the offense a bit out of rhythm. He wasn't necessarily fitting in seamlessly, which we know has kind of been like the main complaint about him throughout this Team USA play. But he came in there, he had the stretch of 7 straight points, and very smartly was going at a Nikola Jokic who had 4 fouls. And with 6 minutes left in the game, like he can't play legitimate defense, right? He cannot possibly risk fouling out in those circumstances. The hero of the day, of course, Logan, is Steph Curry, who puts forth, I would say, the most heroic Team USA performance that I've seen in my lifetime, and was far and away the reason that Team USA was able to stay in this game in the first half. And even down the stretch, again, it's LeBron, it's Embiid, but Steph is constantly a huge component in their offensive success. And so much of it is away from the ball, dude. Like you have him run a couple pick and rolls, but I would say, I don't know what, 6 of his threes were coming off screens. He has the beautiful cut when 2 stay with the ball in a certain spot, I believe in the fourth quarter or late in the third. Just a legacy performance from him. And he struggled in the Olympics. He had been rough coming into this game, and this was the best offensive performance that I've seen from a Team USA player, legitimately, because KD, right in the group stage against Serbia, he goes 23 points on 8 of 9 shooting. There are so many scoring explosions super efficiently throughout, but there's never been this sort of urgency and this sort of dominant individual performance.
I completely agree. And again, you can't sing his praises enough. Like if Steph doesn't go crazy in that first half, he has 20 first half points. The U.S. doesn't have a prayer in this game. We're not even close. We're getting dog walked. I got a question for you. The last negative thing that I want to mention on USA's part is the rebounding towards the end of this game.
Yeah, that was bad.
I was really frustrated at us not finishing possessions. I don't know, man. Embiid, like, I don't know if it's a lack of court awareness. He wasn't even looking at the ball when it's coming off the rim. And, like, I just feel like, well, one, I don't want to put it all on Embiid's shoulders. I think the other guys also have to do a better job of just crashing. Like, everybody has to have a collective effort of getting to the ball. But there were back-to-back possessions where Serbia gets an extra shot at it. One of them turns into a Jokic putback where we just don't end the possession. And Embiid's right at the basket and just can't corral it. Again, he's not the most coordinated athlete, so a couple of rebounds are on that. But again, a couple of it is just his lack of awareness of not knowing where the ball is coming off the rim.
And dog, Milutinov wanted that ball every time, man. The Serbs wanted that ball every time.
They played hard for sure. My question for you on Team USA, do you think this changes what you're doing with the lineups moving forward? Like,
start KD. Why would you not start Kevin Durant?
That was my big takeaway.
It's just such seamless offense. He fits in with any possible lineup. He's an elite jump shooter, and defensively, he brings you length. He brings you help defense that, as much as I love Devin Booker, and he's been really good for Team USA, the 3-guard thing is just silly at this point. When so many of your best players are front court players, I think it has to be Steph, and I'm good with them starting Drew over Book if they just want to have that hound point of attack defender. Book is obviously a better, more talented offensive player, but you got to choose one of the two, and then it's got to be KD, LeBron, and it's going to continue to be Embiid, which, I mean, he earned it with how he played down the stretch today. I still think AD is a more seamless fit. That's not going to change at this point, and we didn't really talk about that after the quarterfinal because I was like, I don't think it's going to matter. You know, as much respect as I have for Serbia, I said, I think USA wins this game by 12 points. I expected it to be a lot closer than their group stage game because Serbia played Team USA even in that game when Jokic was on the floor. And I was like, Jokic isn't going to sit 9 minutes in this game. B, Serbia, a really good 3-point shooting team, was ice cold in that game. Team USA was comically good from beyond the arc. So all those things made me think this is going to be a closer game. But I was like, I really don't think them starting the wrong combination is going to keep them from winning gold. But now that you had this sort of scare, and there are just so many moments where you're like, Kevin Durant needs to be on the floor and he needs to be involved. If he doesn't start against France, I would be pissed.
I just think he gives you the best combination. And I mean, he's
Absolutely.
bigger. He gives you an elite defender. And
He's been one of Team USA's 2 best players this entire run.
completely agree. And when he gets into that spot, when he shakes a guy at the top of the key and he gets into the mid-range, you just feel like it's bottoms.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I want to mention about Serbia, too, it shocked me during this game that they were running their mouth like they were. I thought that was a recipe for disaster.
Bogey, man.
Dude, Bogey was chirping the whole way, and I was just—
That was hard, though. That was hard because Bogey was going off, bro.
Hard or stupid? I mean, immediately right after that, LeBron layup gets a steal, turns into a three-pointer at the other end. It's like, what are you guys doing, man?
Here, look. Here's all I'll say. When you are outplaying LeBron James, Kevin Durant, not Steph Curry, but everybody else on Team USA, and you're doing it for your country, man, I think you can talk.
I'm doing that at the end of the game if we won. I'm not doing that pre-hand. And also, what was the deal with all the Serbs talking mess to Melo apparently on the sideline? The broadcast kept going, oh, yeah, they keep talking to Melo. Like, was Melo giving it back to him?
Probably, if I had to guess. If I had to guess. But, yeah, man, listen. I get it. You can say, oh, it's a harbinger of doom. Don't put the cart before the horse. Don't get ahead of yourself when you're playing arguably the most talented basketball team ever constructed. But also they threw the best punch that a full-strength Team USA has ever seen. And, like, that's pretty sick, man. I give them props. I think that anybody who is framing this as, like, Team Serbia choke or anybody who is going to, like, try to diminish it, it's like, dude, like, put things into perspective, right? 3 NBA players. Jovic is on this team. Jovic doesn't play. I'm not counting him. Like, that's insane. That is insane to do. And yes, Team USA absolutely was sloppy in the first half, and they didn't play at their highest level defensively, and the offense was a bit stagnant and ISO heavy. But, like, it wasn't so much a disaster, I didn't feel, as it was, like, Serbia going head-to-head with them. Serbia throwing a phenomenal punch, a phenomenal performance forward, and I can already see that there are some people who are going to make this like an Embiid Jokic thing because Embiid has his 7 points down the stretch, which is just hilarious to me because just imagine if Nikola Jokic was playing in that offensive situation. Imagine if he could just attack one-on-one against a defender with 4 fouls every time down the floor. Like, just don't do that. Nobody do that.
It's the exact inverse take. The fact that Serbia played their—
Of course. That's like, what I can't understand being like, oh, yeah. You know me. I had the Serbs as heavy favorites going into this game. They were 15.5-point underdogs. Nobody has ever gone head-to-head with full-strength Team USA like this. So, I don't know, man. I would just be paying respects. I think that they run such a beautiful offense. I think they have so many smart, skilled ball movers, shooters, guys who know how to play off of the insane amount of attention that Jokic demands so well. I just think about one spot where he draws the double and he immediately kicks it to the weak side wing, and that ball is to the corner like instantly.
Dude, the chat's
know how to play off him so well.
The chat's doing it right now, man.
The Embiid Jokic thing?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh my,
that's silly.
There's sirens going on in the background. I apologize.
Yeah, those are for you, buddy. I mean, legitimately, I think if you're doing that, that is completely ridiculous. How many times did Jokic see single coverage in this entire game? Every time that he saw single coverage, he got fouled on the floor, right? Whenever you thought, oh, maybe he can attack,
and that's the best. No, and that's the best thing that you can do to counteract
Absolutely.
him.
Devin Booker shouldn't try to guard him.
I think this just emphasizes how much Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. I mean, they almost pulled this thing off. Like, that was what it reinforced to me. And the U.S. escaped. We escaped from this one.
And by the way, that is not to say that Nikola Jokic guards Joel Embiid well one-on-one, right? Embiid can give buckets to Jokic, but that is not the entire context in which basketball is played, right? I mean, the team offensive impact for Jokic far surpasses him. And if there's any illustration of that ever, bro, I mean, like, Embiid can do what he wants. He's an American citizen. But it's surprising to me that he wouldn't want to try to play for Cameroon. That is surprising to me.
It surprised me too. I mean, hell, at this point, I'm glad he showed up, man. I don't think we get this thing done without Embiid.
Yeah. But you got to understand the circumstances. Regardless, a phenomenal classic basketball game. Anything else that you really took away from this one before we get into the other semifinal?
Yeah,
talk about what's coming for Team USA.
There's one more thing I want to bring up, and I've seen this kind of circulating. The changing of the guard is coming, man. I mean, the big take that I have coming from this game is that next Olympics, the United States may very well be in big, big trouble. I mean, think about the guys that came through for us in this game.
Yeah.
Steph Curry legacy game may not be now on the next Olympic team because he's aged out or retired. LeBron James. I mean, look, man, I'm not going to count LeBron out from doing anything, but you see the gray in his beard. I doubt he's going to be around for 2028. Kevin Durant may not be around. Like, the guys that stepped up and pulled their weight and got us over the finish line are the old guard. We already know about all the international
100%.
talent surrounding us. Like, our run, this could be like the United States' last real stand. You know what I mean? I think next Olympics,
they'll be the favorites.
Well, no, I'm not saying we're always going to be the favorites,
Yeah.
I think. But next Olympics, I think we could be in bigger trouble than we've ever been in.
Who's the team? Is it
Serbia's not going anywhere? Canada's not going anywhere. If I had to pick one, it would be France.
Yeah, I think you have to look at France, but the problem is both France and Canada have pretty gaping holes. Like, those are the teams that have the most talent, and it's up and coming talent for both of them. As we talked about last episode, though, these two teams just played. Canada needs to get significantly better in the front court. They need to get some legitimate big. And France, even though we got a couple of big performances from perimeter players, like, they need to have that dynamic guard talent. And even in this next crop, that's not where their talents are, right? Salon, Sarr, Risa Shane, none of these dudes are perimeter initiators. I think to legitimately challenge Team USA, that's what they're going to need. And also, I do think experience is important. Like, those are teams that are very much in the up-and-coming generation. Serbia has several dudes who are real NBA vets, right? Micic isn't an NBA vet, but he's a high-level professional basketball vet. And Bogey and Jokic are real NBA vets. And they've played together for so long.
Exactly. That's why I think Serbia is still probably, if Jokic wants to continue playing competitive basketball, if he is still hanging around, Serbia is the biggest threat, in my opinion, because they're going to have the best player in the world, maybe at that time. I don't know. Things change. It could be
4
Wemby
years
at
from
that
now,
point.
probably not anymore. It'll probably be Wemby.
Could be Wemby, but Jokic is still going to be damn good. That team, and again, like you said, you hit on a very big point with Olympic basketball. I think that's a large, stark contrast between Team USA and Serbia.
Totally.
Serbia, it plays together every possession. They are so connected. And there are so many little moments in this game where you can just tell that Team USA hasn't played together. Little cuts to the basket where the guys open,
running into each other.
Yeah, and guys aren't ready for the basketball moving there when they're open to the basket. Little stuff like that matters, and Serbia, I think, that's not an issue. The chemistry is off the charts with Serbia.
The first half of this game felt like the quintessential March Madness upset, where you have a team that had 3 of the top 10 freshman recruits in the country, right? It's 2019 Duke. You have Cam Reddish and you have RJ Barrett and you have Zion. And opposite them is a well-coached team that runs great offense, that shoots the hell out of the ball. It's very well coached, and they've all played together for 3 or 4 years. The only difference is, you know, those Cinderella teams don't have a Nikola Jokic, who is a pretty massive equalizer. Having the best player on the planet is different. But if you just subtract him, like, that was the sort of vibe that we had. And that does matter. So I don't think that the USA is going to win every gold until the end of time, but I do think they'll be the favorites. But this is what I said last show, and it came dangerously close to not being true. But as much as we can talk about how international talent is dominating basketball right now, the 5 best players on the planet being internationally born, Embiid is playing for Team USA, but he's Cameroonian, born and raised. Like, that is incredible. But at the same time, the advantage the USA does still have is the 2 generations, having the old goats hanging on still with this young talent. When that is no longer the case, I'm with you. Team USA will be much more vulnerable, especially because, like, the best talent in the next generation is Wemby, not an American. And France has a lot of talent.
I saw the Deep 3 did this on their podcast. Shout out friends of the show. Who do you think is going to be, like, a part of that group of the next generation? I mean, I think Ant is stamped.
Yeah.
It'll probably be Tatum, Hallie.
Yeah, I mean, are we considering guys even in their solid mid-20s, next generation?
Well, I mean, just
like
I'm
Devin Booker. Is Devin Booker?
Devin Booker.
Oh, we're talking next team.
I'm just saying who's going to be on the 2028 roster. Yeah.
or wow, it's 2024 right now. Holy shit, how did that happen?
Time
Yeah,
flies, man.
I think Jaylen Brown will be there. Derek
He
White
better.
can probably still be there. Paolo will be there. Chet will be there. Who else have
But
we
I
seen in
think
recent
that's what
years?
I'm saying,
Mobley. I
though.
hope Evan Mobley's there.
That's what I'm
Cade,
saying. With
hopefully.
that much young, unproven and I'm not saying
Cooper
proven in
Flag.
the NBA stage, maybe.
Yeah.
Proven on the international level on this kind of stage, it's scary. Like, we're just not going to be able to rely. Again, I think those guys are going to be so much better by the time we get to 2028. But
Yeah.
you're just not going to be able to go, hey, LeBron, the best transition scorer of all time. Hey, Steph, the greatest shooter. We're losing luxuries, man. And I
We're
think
losing recipes, man.
we're losing recipes.
Donovan Mitchell, we have to mention as well.
For sure. I hope
And De'Aaron
he's there
Fox.
too.
Bam will still
2028,
be there.
though.
There's a lot of guys.
2028 is going to be the biggest test I think the U.S. has faced since 04.
Maxey. There's a lot of American talent still, for sure. But I think you're right. I do think you're right. It's only going to get harder. And props to all of the American heroes. And that's what they are, American heroes who came through clutch to pull off the most challenging win in Team USA history.
Dude, and you know what I love? I love the Olympics because finally we go from the cesspool of NBA basketball talk and all of the Americans can finally unify with our Avengers.
Beautiful.
And just
but unfortunately not really, because the agendas are still apparent. Our good friend Joel Moran is still tweeting about Jason Tatum.
I love Joel, but that was wow. I'm not a Tatum guy either, man. That was so funny.
The man knows how to stick to a take, and he knows how to make the people angry.
Maybe if Tatum cheered harder, it would have made an impact on the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, the agendas will never fully dissipate, but I'm with you. It's a nice little unifying moment. But of course, basketball is a global sport. And to all of you Serbians, and to all of you Frenchmen, and to all of you Germans, and everybody else, all of you Filipino fans, we love all of you guys too, and we're rooting for all of your teams as well. And on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about the French-Germany semifinal, because that was also a really fun basketball game. And then we'll talk about what we think is coming with Wemby and France taking on USA in the final after some quick words from DraftKings. Know the beautiful thing about being a sports fan? There's only like 2 days the whole year without a game. 2. With so much happening and so much action, that makes just about every day game day at DraftKings Sportsbook.
It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It really couldn't be any easier or any simpler. Baseball, golf, UFC, there's something for every fan of every sport to bet on at DraftKings. And I know it's early, but football season will be here before you know it.
And if you're new to DraftKings, you gotta check this out. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code NERDS. That's code NERDS for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. It is hilarious. Real quick before we move on, I just took a quick glimpse at the chat, and I still saw some people talking about Jokic's on-off numbers being inflated by Denver running out their starting lineups. What do people need to see to understand impact? Is one of the best playoff runs ever to a title without another all-star on his team. Jamal Murray played like one in that run, but that's not enough. The fact that in 2022, when he doesn't have MPJ, he doesn't have Jamal Murray, they don't have KCP yet, you still are getting, when he is on the floor, a better net rating than Giannis's Bucks, Joel Embiid, and the Sixers, like every other MVP candidates. And he has legitimately what would be the worst NBA team in the league around him. The fact that he, with a Serbia team that is good, but again, has 2 other NBA players in the rotation, pushes Team USA harder than anybody else ever has, a full-strength Team USA. None of these things move the needle. I don't know, my friends. I think you might just be lost. Not to mention the fact that he is just simultaneously the best scorer and passer on the planet and up there for the best screener and the smartest, whatever. We can do this all day.
Carson, did you ever think about the fact that he lost to Embiid today, though?
No, that's a good point. That's a great point. All right, let's talk about the other team that Joel Embiid could have chosen to play for, not just Cameroon and Team USA. He could have played for the French team as well, but they're doing just fine without him. They advanced to the final, picking up a win over Germany. Logan, I got to give you props. You picked France to win this game. I picked Germany. What did you take away from Wemby and France coming through here?
I will say I thought Germany played a really good game, and this was close down to the wire
Really?
too. I thought it
That
was
was
a pretty good
disappointing.
game. I enjoyed it. I kind of liked the
Franz let me
grime.
down.
I kind of liked the grime of this game, but I want to give immense amount of props to France for what they did defensively in this game, and that's where I thought that France would have an advantage just with their size. Now, I kind of had the thought that Gobert was going to get more burn. He only plays 5 minutes today. Also, real quick before we get into more about this game, I want to get off.
What?
Just hold up. Wait a second. Some more stuff about Rudy Gobert. Wait a minute.
Okay.
What did he say? I hate the narratives that are coming out of this about Rudy Gobert and the stuff that people are peddling, that like he's, again, just a complete bum, that he's a liability. Guys, he had surgery like 3 days ago. I don't know how much bearing that had on if he was healthy enough to play in this game. He has been medically cleared. I don't know if that had any bearing, but can we stop disrespecting Rudy Gobert and treating him like some complete schlub?
That's never going to happen.
I hate this. I hate that we do this. I get it. He's gangly. He's goofy. He's unlikable. He's a little bit uncoordinated. He is not offensively skilled, but he's one of the best defensive players to ever live. And I hate that gets overlooked. But France played one hell of a defensive game without the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby had so many highlights in this game, and it's just so disruptive. Carson, I know you had the take that you think Wemby is going to be the greatest defensive player ever. I think I agree with you. He's just disruptive. Nobody can have the impact that he does because of this alien-like size that Wemby does. And it's not just Wemby. I thought Nick Batum played an elite defensive game. Yabusele, Lesor. It was a collective defensive effort from France, and that's what pulled them across, man. Yabusele has a great third quarter. Him and Batum have the first 15 points in the third quarter.
Gershon, man.
I know, right? Maybe league him? Maybe league him?
Just inspiring stuff, dude. Inspiring stuff that we're seeing from him.
It's endearing. I was really impressed with France's defense, and I was surprised that they were able to outlast, Carson. You highlighted their inability to really handle the ball. I thought that Germany did a really good job pressuring the ball in this game, and France struggled with it, man. They don't have a ton of ball handlers, and for that, I want to give a ton of props for Cordinier for what he did in this game. That guy has been balling uncontrollably, handling for them, knocking down big shots, making great decisions. It felt like every shot he's taking in these Olympics is going to go in. But I still think there's a talent gap between Germany and France. Like, I think that Germany's probably the more talented basketball team. France, again, better defensively, more size, a little bit more athleticism, and I think that's what won out. And some little errors down the stretch for Germany that don't break their way, and that's why they lose this game. But I think France is going to – I don't think they're going to put up as quite a fight as Serbia did in this game, but I think they're going to – I think they'll battle with the U.S.
They definitely do not have the offensive skill that Serbia does. They're really not close. This game they had to grind out, but they did so on the back of outstanding defense. And in the first quarter, Germany was able to get what they wanted, but after that, just 44 points over the final 3 quarters combined. Specifically, they were 6 of 14 in the paint at all after that first quarter. Just 12 points in the paint in 3 quarters of basketball. And I thought it was an outstanding defensive effort from France, and particularly Wemby, right, is just an absolutely absurd deterrent. He's a ridiculous rim protector. He makes several ridiculous plays, blowing up a lob to Tice. Schroder beats him off the bounce and tries to keep him in jail, trap him on his back, decelerate, and Wemby just easily blocks him from behind. Like, such a freak talent, the most freakish defensive talent that we have ever seen. But it really was a collective effort. I thought that everybody was engaged in defending well, and they even get to bring in Frank Ntilikina for some big minutes, and he's always going to defend well, but he even knocks down a couple of big shots in this game. Batum, of course, Yabusele, as you mentioned, like, everybody was connected, was applying pressure, was playing hard, and they needed that to overcome a really rough offensive game from Wemby, who is just relying very heavily on a lot of those tough jumpers, the contested face-ups, a lot of shots from beyond the arc. And that's just a limitation of this roster. They don't have the perimeter creator who can manufacture those looks for Wemby. And if you're going to ask him to self-create offense over and over again, he's going to struggle to be efficient because he's not going to manufacture himself shots around the rim. Those have to be off of cuts. Those have to be in transition. That has to be him as a roller. Like, for the most part, you throw him the ball, he's going to settle for a tougher jumper. And that's why, as an offensive fulcrum at this stage, he still has his limitations. But that's where it's like Yabusele was just doing everything, dude. I mean, he's been knocking down his jumpers the last 2 games. Out of the post, he's so physical. He's so strong. He's cleaning up on the offensive glass. Cordonier is also rebounding well, shooting the hell out of the ball, bringing that ball handling that they need. Fournier, it's not a very good statistical performance from him. His shot wasn't falling, but I thought his ability to run pick and roll and make capable decisions, like, they needed all of that. Lesor, they needed everybody else to step up offensively and to be engaged defensively because, like, on paper, yeah, they haven't been the better basketball team than Germany. You say Germany played a good game, though. I do think that they played below their expectations, even giving props to France for a really stellar defensive performance. And part of that is just Franz Wagner and Dennis Schroder had been 2 of the handful of best players in the Olympics coming into this game. They had both been sensational. Franz was giving you an efficient 20 a night. Schroder was giving you 18 and 9. And I thought that Schroder played pretty well in this game, but he settled for a lot of threes. I think he was very much deterred from attacking the paint where we know he's at his best. So he didn't maximize his impact as a facilitator, and he wasn't able to get himself those higher percentage shots around the rim. But it's really Franz who let me down in this one. Franz goes almost 3 full quarters without a bucket, and he hits that big, deep 3 to make this a 2-point game, but that's not enough, man. I just need more out of him because he's supposed to be their best player. He's supposed to be the most consistent creator on the floor. Like, that was the difference between these 2 teams, right? The guard play for France has been very spotty offensively, and the perimeter creation from these 2 dudes for Germany has been sensational. It's been a huge strength of theirs as a team. I love Franz as a basketball player, but when we zoom out to who he is as an NBA player right now, I do think that this inconsistency is still applicable because you saw in the playoff runs, right? You have some very high highs where he has like his 36-point explosion and he is just being incisive as a driver. And then you have the fact that he goes 1 of 15 in game 7. And in this Olympic run, you have a lot of good, but then this game was really bad. It was really disappointing for him. He also loses his footing to lose them the game, which sucks. That's on him, but that's not really like a sustainable skill concern. But he's got to find his jumper, man. He's got to find that 3-point shot because he does so much well, right? He defends multiple positions. He play makes well, especially for his size. He's a really good driver, really skilled finisher. He shot 28% from 3 this regular season, 26% from 3 in the playoffs, 29% from 3 in the Olympics. He has to find that shot to be a more viable off-ball player and to be a more dynamic on-ball scorer. And when he doesn't have that, it's just concerning. It's the only reason he wasn't on my top 10 small forwards list. It's like he's got to find that shot again. And this is a full year now where every different phase of the basketball year, his 3-point shot has been off, and it cost them. It wasn't like he was terrible shooting from beyond the arc in this game, but overall offensively, he wasn't good enough. And over the Olympics, he was not good from beyond the arc.
Yeah, and he's just really limited as an offensive player without that, right? It's about finding those easy bread and butter looks for yourself and what you can reliably always go to as an offensive player. And Franz just doesn't really have that right now.
He's a great driver.
He is a really good driver. I wanted to give props too for France. I thought they did an excellent job of suffocating the pace at the end of this game and just clock management. I thought they did a phenomenal job of drowning each possession down to like the final 5 seconds, putting up a shot and then moving on. Like, that was a big component. Like, they just took the pace out of the game, took the ball out of Germany's hands. And I thought that was a huge part because their offense was sputtering, man, for both of these teams. It was pretty ugly. Like, there was.
Yeah. Was it even a sputter or was it just a 40-minute stall?
Yeah.
I would argue that the engine never got started.
The motor wasn't even idling, man.
No.
The key wouldn't turn over. Yeah, it was pretty ugly towards the end, but I thought France played that into their hands. And, like, dude, even Fournier, like, it's sad because you give props to Fournier for, like, because Fournier doesn't have a great statistical game. Dude, any ball handling they could get towards the end of this game, he almost has that carry where he loses the ball. And that's where I think it's going to catch up to France against Team USA. I think that
Oh, yeah.
unless we get a legacy Cordonier game and he goes dumb, fake Fred VanVleet over there, man. He kind of looks like Fred VanVleet or Grant Riller a little bit. That's who he reminds me of.
Grant Riller.
Just he kind of looks like him.
College of
bit.
Charleston legend.
I think that's where it's going to catch up to France. I think if the U.S. applies that similar ball pressure that we saw towards the end of this game against Serbia, I think it's going to eat France alive. Like Nikola frequently loses handle of the ball, gets a little bit overwhelmed. Fournier just cannot be entrusted with that responsibility. And I want to be clear about something. I trust all these guys to play make and to make good decisions and to make passes. But with that kind of ball pressure, I think that's where they're going to get eaten alive. They just don't have that kind of perimeter creator. You know, if Killian Hayes turned into James Harden like KOC thought, maybe they would have that guy and would have a chance at winning this game. But unfortunately,
not even on the team.
He got cut. So I do think France
have 86-year-old Nando De Colo over him.
That speaks volumes.
And Albisi.
I don't know who that is.
He's the 5'10". He's like one of the guards in their rotation.
I do like
He's not very good.
I do like De Colo. De Colo's a little bit slower, but he at least can handle, you know. So I think France's run is going to come to an end here. But big props to them, Carson. This is the first time since 1996 that the team hosting the Olympics will be in the gold medal game for basketball.
Well, to be fair though, let's think about who that would have been. Okay, it's not really a shocker that Japan didn't make it. It's not really a shocker that Rio didn't make it. It's not really a shocker that the UK didn't make it. It's not really a shocker that China didn't make it. It's not really a shocker that Greece didn't make it.
Yeah.
In 2000, where was that? I can't remember. But anyways.
Well, and then 96
is Atlanta.
2000 was Australia, Sydney.
I thought it was Sydney. Okay. I don't know why I didn't say that. So I guess, you know, they would have had a shot.
Yeah.
With Andrew Gaze and the boys. Australian national team legend.
It still is it's a pretty big accomplishment for France. And that is one component that's going to make this game interesting, right? I think it's going to be pretty easy or pretty even, U.S. France. Like we got a lot of U.S. representation, but they are going to have the home court advantage, which makes this a pretty interesting dynamic in the gold medal game. I'm just so glad we survived, man. I was going to be really sad if this team was competing for a bronze medal, man. That would be such a catastrophic letdown.
So when we look forward to this finals game, I don't think that France has the upside to beat Team USA that Serbia did because of the offensive skill gap. However, they do have the personnel to defend Team USA pretty well, to take away a lot of easy stuff around the rim, especially if we get 40 minutes of Wemby plus Gobert. Obviously, Gobert hasn't been the backup center. It's been Lesor these last 2 games, but I thought the 5 minutes that they played together, I thought the defense was excellent. Obviously, it's not ideal offensively, but Lesor's playing well. I give him props. I think that they could put Gobert out there as like their legit backup center. And I think that they can play the two of them together.
I would. I mean, I think that's the recipe for France having a shot in this game.
I think in the specific Team USA matchup, it is. And Canada was different, right? Because they're such a perimeter centric team. Germany is bigger. But if you want to max out your defensive ceiling, I think it comes with those two being on the floor, at least one of them for all 40 minutes. And, I just don't think that there's the shooting ceiling here. I don't think there's the sort of consistent offensive creator. France would have to play an outstanding defensive game. They would have to deter Team USA from attacking downhill and try to force them into a bunch of pull-up jumpers and maybe mix in some zone as well and just like hope for the best. Hope that they have a cold shooting day and that you get hot. But I would pretty confidently pick Team USA to win by double digits, especially because I think they have now been just whipped into like peak shape, right? Like they're not fucking around after this.
No, I think them locking into gear in the fourth quarter. And I knew that we were going to win when my buddy Angelo texted me, yeah, Team USA is going to lose. And I'm telling you, man, he has the kiss of death, man. If he puts on this game is over, It's not. It's going to
Dude,
turn
when
around.
I tweeted about it being the biggest upset, and then everybody's like, "Oh, look at you. What are you trying to get our old takes exposed?" You're welcome, America. That's me. I did that. I intentionally pulled off a jinx for our country, and I get no gratitude. I love the Serbs. I love all the people of former Yugoslavia. My middle name is Velimir, and my grandfather, Velimir, a Croat, taught me to love all people of the Yugoslav nations. And by the way, if they combined, I know that this is such a trite statement at this point, but like Team Yugoslavia would legitimately be very slight underdogs against Team USA, would easily be the strongest ever. We can go through the lineup if you want. It's absolutely insane.
Who would be on that group?
Luka, Jokic, Bogey. You would have, well, you're not going to like this, but Vooch.
Oh,
I know. I'm sorry. You would have Dario Saric, which isn't moving the needle as much. You don't have Dragic anymore, so I guess that's a little bit of a loss. Let's think. Slovenians. Oh, you would have Nurk. There's a lot of bigs. That's kind of the one problem, is you would have a little bit of redundancy there.
Konchar.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, Konchar. But it would really be, I mean, the Luka and Jokic combo alone is kind of all you need.
Luka, I feel like that completely evens the playing field.
Yeah, I mean, it would be insane, but of course they are no longer one unified country for reasons that are more important than basketball. But that would be pretty cool. You could bring Mirotic back. You would have Zubats. The bigs, it's just so many bigs. You can't find minutes for all the bigs. Oh, you would have Bojan also. He's Croatian.
You got shooting, man. You got
insane shooting.
With
The
that
offense would be crazy.
I was going to say, with that kind of shooting around Luka and Jokic, there's definitely a chance. I mean, you got Dobrich and all these dudes spraying against the U.S.
Well, think about if you went Luka, both Bogdanoviches, Jokic,
who are brothers, fun fact.
Whoever you want to go, not brothers, from different countries entirely. And then you can go whoever you want at the 5. I would probably go Zubac, so you get rim protection.
Joker at the 4.
You get a little bit more athleticism out there.
I like that.
But you could also go Vooch for a more offensive front court.
Oh, no, you wouldn't do that.
Well, you could. Vooch is a very good basketball player, whether you like it or not. I mean, he's not my favorite. I don't think he's anybody's favorite. But, in an international basketball setting, pretty freaking good. Anyways, that would be cool, but not going to happen. I did see our friend Jokic Joestar come out and proclaim after this game that this is the greatest team ever assembled. All I'm going to say is, let's see how they handle the gold medal game, because I think that the Dream Team is absolutely comparable in terms of talent, and the Dream Team was more dominant. Just objectively more dominant. Now, I do think that basketball is way better around the world than it was then. But that being said, the two specific teams that Team USA had to go through in the semis and finals, you have Croatia with Petrovic, who was an NBA All-Star, with Dino Raja, and there's one more legit good NBA guy on that team. Why can I not think of him right now? And then you have Lithuania with Marciulionis and Arvydas Sabonis. So,
Kukoc. You have Kukoc.
Oh, Kukoc, of course, the Croatian sensation. It's in his name. I mean, that's real NBA talent. Obviously, neither of those teams have a Jokic. People will try to tell you Arvydas was a Jokic. Tell them to settle down, although he was awesome. But, that's real NBA talent. So, let's not act like the Dream Team didn't play anybody, because they did play two very, very good teams. Just like the U.S. is only going to play two very good teams, right? Nothing really matters until the semis and the finals. Brazil isn't going to beat them. South Sudan isn't going to beat them. So we'll see, man. I'm excited, but I would be shocked if the U.S. didn't win. And I said I'd be shocked if the U.S. didn't win at all. I was very nearly shocked, but I think it's an easier matchup against France, because they don't have a single just super dominant force like Jokic, and they don't have the same level of offensive skill overall.
And yeah, I mean, people may fawn over Wemby. I just don't think Wemby's at that level yet offensively that he needs to be. Like you meant,
he hasn't been their best offensive player at all.
No, I mean, like you mentioned earlier,
Gershon Yabusele, whether you like it or not, and Cordinia, the last 2 games, the most important games.
Taking a lot of threes, settling for tough jumpers. I mean, he's always going to get that easy stuff around the rim when it's spoon-fed to him, but I just don't think this is his time. I'm not counting out Wemby, because I think down the line, man, I think Wemby may be possible of doing,
This isn't the sort of roster construction for him to thrive with offensively. Defensively, it'll be insane no matter
Again,
what.
maybe 2028 with Salon, with Risache, with all the up and comers from France, Sar. They may be way better, but I think
Koulibaly getting actual minutes.
Yeah, for real. So I'm gonna take the US and I'll take them by. I'll do what you did against Serbia. I think I'll take them by 12. I think France will linger around.
Ready for this? I'm gonna take the US by 18. I think it's a pretty decisive win.
Okay.
But shout out to France. I'm very excited, happy that they made it. It's cool that we get to see Wemby in the gold medal game so soon. And I mean, the bronze game,
It's gonna be damn good. That's gonna be a good game.
Germany versus Serbia. That's damn good. Like, international basketball is sick right now, man. It is sick. And that's only become more and more the case. Like, you've had good teams, obviously. The Yugoslav countries have always produced really good players. Germany's always had good players. Spain was great in the 2000s and the early 2010s, but there's never been this depth. It's Canada, the level that they're at.
I mean, and the fact that, I think it speaks volumes. Canada's not going to medal. I mean, Canada is an exceptionally talented basketball team.
Canada has, numerous dudes who have been top picks in the draft, numerous all-star caliber players, and they're not meddling. They didn't make the semifinals. Crazy. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it for us here today. Hope you enjoyed the basketball. Hope you enjoyed the show. I do want to shout out the play of the day, which was Nick Batum's chase down block on Dennis. Dude, that fired me up. 35-year-old Nick Batum. If you want more of our content, there's plenty more of it. We just did a trivia episode with Pablo Escobar and Jokic Joestar from the State of the League earlier today. Can you believe that? 2 shows in a day. My goodness, how lucky are you guys? That is on YouTube. That is across audio platforms. You can check out clips from the show and more trivia content on TikTok at NerdSesh. You can follow us on Instagram at NerdSesh, TikTok, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh. You can check out our merch at thevolume.com, and you can join our Discord if you want to chat with the fellas. You can also follow us on Twitch if you want to see your boy get absolutely destroyed in NCAA football 25 with the California Golden Bears, because we're having fun with that, baby. Anyways, that's coming soon. All right. Appreciate you guys. With that, as always, I've been Carson Brabber.
I've been Logan Camden.
And this was Nerd Sesh.